Good evening. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I am super excited. I am super excited. I have an amazing guest tonight, and I'm so excited to have her with us tonight so she can share her story with us. It's absolutely going to be amazing. God is in the building, and I'm just going to share her. I'm going to read her bio briefly, and then we're going to go ahead on and get started. I'm going to invite her up on the stage, and we're going to get started. Miss Chante Dub is a proud mother of 5 children. She's a widow. She's a domestic violence survivor. She has devoted her life to inspiring our young people. She has a heart and passion for youth. She's an entrepreneur. She buddies with other young people to motivate them. She speaks life and encourages them. She aimed to educate others on identifying the signs of a toxic relationship, those red flags that we sometimes want to ignore. She helps us to see those red flags. She uses her story as an example for others, and she truly understands the importance of walking away sooner versus later. Today, we are in for a treat. We have a survivor with us. We have this a beautiful, amazing young lady. I have never met her in person, but just her spirit. Oh my God, her spirit is so enriching, so beautiful. And I'm so excited to have her on Candid Conversations on tonight. And before I bring her forward, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sonya Wilson Bailey. I am the founder and CEO of Whole Women in Progress, where I assist women to journey into a greater place of wholeness by renewing their minds, rebuilding their bodies, and restoring their souls. And Candid Conversations is a platform that I invite other women to come on and to share their stories, because all of us have a story. The question is, are we going to tell our story? Are we going to be able to share with other women to encourage them and allow them that is life after whatever it is that they've encountered or faced? And I'm so excited about the women God has allowed me to have on this platform. I'm talking about some amazing, beautiful women. And I just going to add on tonight with Miss Chante Dove. We're going to, I'm going to bring her front and center, and we're going to get this Candid conversation going on tonight. Well, hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. I just want to tell you thank you so much for your yes. I know God is going to have an awesome time. He's going to use us mightily on tonight. And I just want you to share with the viewers on tonight, just giving us some feedback on your journey. Tell us we already know your name. Just tell us some snippets about your story from maybe your childhood to your teenage years prior to you getting married. Who was Chante? Who was that beautiful young lady?
Okay. Well, first, let me say thank you for having me. Thank you for taking the time to see the light that's in me. I actually am a laughing person. I love laughter. Growing up as a child, that's what people always just say, like, you laugh so much out of the smallest things. Even from a little girl, I used to be a cheerleader for 7 years. Um, I just enjoyed. I always stayed in church as a young girl. Um, I was raised by a single mother, and she raised me and 2 siblings. I have 2 brothers, a younger brother and an older brother, and it's just been a journey being raised by a single mother that has done everything she could to be there by our side. And I graduated from high school. I graduated from a college for medical assistance, and then I went to school for early childhood development. So it's just been a journey. I just love who I am and now who I became.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And just to hear that you and your brothers were raised by a single mom. So
Right.
that means that it is doable,
It is.
regardless if you have a spouse or not. So kudos to moms, because Mother's Day is coming up Sunday. So I know you go shower her with some extra flowers
Absolutely.
on Sunday. Thank God you still have her. My mother is deceased, but I'm excited for those that still have their moms and still are able to enjoy all of those precious moments with them.
Right.
So if as you progressed on through life and you finished college, and are you there?
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm here.
Yes, as you finished college and began to graduate from the technical school and just begin your journey as an adult woman, how was that journey? Did you deal with any type of trauma as a young child, or you didn't have any? How did you transition as an adult and moving forward?
I think my first, what I would say, well, trauma can be a lot of different things. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I didn't have a father. Well, I let me not say I didn't have a father. I had a father in my life. He just was not present. So growing up with being, a single mother, you longed and missed those things of, daughter dad dances and showing me who I'm supposed to, like how a man is supposed to treat me, showing me good things, showing me things that I'm supposed to do as a woman. Like you just miss that father figure. I think I kind of dealt with that a lot,
Uh-huh.
battled with that a lot growing up, and even in my teenage years, that I battled with that a lot because I wanted and I longed for him to be there. Even now, as an adult, you kind of still miss those moments where I wish you could have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, I graduated from, right after I graduated from high school. I
Mm-hmm.
was in a situation where I was dating a football player, and I went to his house to let him know I no longer wanted to talk to him anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
like the relationship was a little bit um, toxic, and
Uh-huh.
I just was deciding that this is the last straw. Sorry, I seem like everybody's calling me at the same time. But I went there, and
Uh-huh.
me and him got into a little argument, and he did not want me to. I wanted to leave. He decided that he wanted to pull out. He went up in his closet and he pulled out a gun out of a Nike shoebox. That was my first incident as a teenager.
Uh-huh.
And when he pulled the gun out of the shoebox, my heart immediately dropped because I've never been in a type of situation like that. He slammed me up against the wall, hit my back. I dropped and I buckled. And then there was suddenly a knock on the door. And this knock came from his father because no, normally his dad is at home, at work, excuse me. And
Uh-huh.
he just happened to come home early. And I felt like that was my saving grace. And that was my way of escape. I never turned back to this person, but they stalked me for a whole year. So that was one of my traumas growing up. And like, yeah, just like, it's so aggravating trying to figure out, and then you go back to if my dad was here, then
Mhm.
I would probably, have this situation. My daddy could scare him off. So it always like a play situation in your mind. So growing up, I feel like those were my biggest traumas as a, growing up from a young girl into my teenage years. And then that happened, followed me all the way into my college year as well. So I feel like that was a part of a little bit of trauma that kind of affected me back then.
Okay. Yeah, and the thing about it is you didn't see no red signs. You just kind of saw kind of his behavior, but you never expected him to do that.
So I never expected that. I did see his behavior, which is why I said I
Uh-huh.
didn't want it. I wanted it to be cut off. And
Uh-huh.
it's because anytime a man or anybody calls you out of your name, that's a red flag right there. If you're gonna
Uh-huh.
call me out my name, it's a red flag. We don't need to be talking, and that's how I felt.
Okay. So ladies, the first red flag is he calls you out your name.
Listen, Because that those are little steps that go. I say little, but those are steps to get to the bigger
Yes,
areas where you
they
can't
get
get out of.
exactly. They get bigger. Absolutely. So
Right.
once that incident was over, you became an adult. You started in your adulthood. How was your dating in your adulthood with your dad not being present? Did that affect how you dated? Did that affect how you had relationships with other women?
I do feel like it affected how I did it because again, it would take when a father is present, they'd be like, a man's supposed to open the door for you.
Uh
They
huh.
tell you little simple things. Don't let no man talk to you this way. My mama can tell me, but it's different when it comes from a father. If he showed me how I could have done things better or differently, I felt like things would have been a lot better and a lot differently. I did not date a lot.
Uh huh.
Going out of my teenage years, I did get married really early.
Uh huh.
Um, I got married in 2013, so I was 22.
Okay.
So that I got married early. And I say
Okay.
early because that's a lot younger than most people would. And
Uh huh.
I think that that didn't give me enough time to know who I was
Uh
to just
huh.
jump straight into a marriage.
Okay. So you got married at 22.
Yes,
How long when you got married at 22, how long were you married before you had your first child? Cuz I know you're a mother of 5. How long were you married before you had the first baby?
So I got pregnant out of wedlock. For my first baby, let's say it like this. My first baby,
Uh-huh.
I had a child before I got married.
Okay.
And then I had my second child out of wedlock as well. So it was only 4 months um
Uh-huh.
after I had my baby, then I got married.
Okay. So even with the 2 children you had prior to getting married, it's okay. You got the 2
Right.
kids, you had them out of wedlock. That's not you're not the first, you're not the last. It's okay. You got married. So
Right.
now that you're married and you have your family, you're 22, how did your life progress from that point?
Well, I'll say it like this. It progressed in a way that I didn't think it was going to. When you start dating and you're all in the happy phase of everything looks perfect and everything looks
Uh-huh.
good, and then you go into I didn't think that I was gonna ever be in this place.
Uh-huh.
2 weeks after I got married, um, I got my first initial push across the kitchen floor, hit my back, and after the argument was over, after the dispute was over, it was like, okay, he didn't mean to do it.
Okay.
So it was kind of like after that, we had a lot of good times, and then we had a lot of bad times. And
Okay.
it made me feel like I'm not supposed to be married. I should have done
Uh-huh.
this. It made me feel a lot of different ways. But then I was like, well, I do have a kid out of this. We still go to
Uh-huh.
church and we do still pray. But then I'm still facing domestic violence behind
Uh-huh.
closed doors. Getting up and singing praise and worship, but doing it with a smile on my face. And then either before church or after church, I'm experienced domestic violence. So I feel like my life turned. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know who I know. I didn't know who Chante was.
Okay.
I felt like I lost myself getting
Okay.
married so early and not knowing different signs.
Okay. So now that you're in here, you're in the marriage, 2 weeks in, you start getting the physical contact.
Hmm.
You're singing praise and worship, either before church or after church. It was no initial contact, physical contact prior to the marriage. I mean, prior to the marriage. So now you're progressing on, you're singing praise and worship, you're just trying to maneuver through this situation. So
Yes, ma'am.
would you say you feel like you went into it not not whole in fragments of yourself? Did you kind of go into it not feeling completely 100%, which we never feel 100%, but do you feel like it was a level of brokenness in you prior to you getting married, and then you going in, you loving this person, now you thinking that this person is going to love you and take care of you, and then now you getting another level of abuse at this point?
Going in,
Uh-huh.
I did feel like we were young, so I did feel like we were
Uh-huh.
young. I don't want to say. I want to say because we had a child um, that I just had before we got married. That kind of made me feel like, we didn't got into arguments, but like people say, love covers, and everybody, won't, you know, um, always have a perfect marriage. So the church people
Mm-hmm.
tell you all of those things. So you kind of feel like, all right, well, it's okay. Like we never had nothing real serious going on that happened for me not to
Uh-huh.
stay. So let's just go ahead and get married. Like they also said, oh, you don't need to be shacking, even though y'all got a child together. So y'all need to hurry up and get married. I feel like it was a little bit of force into it as far as
Uh-huh.
like, you it was like a push. Like you need to get married. You don't need to be y'all already got a baby out of wedlock. You're already living together. Y'all need to get married. Y'all need to get married. And I feel like that's what made the situation, us rush a little bit faster with getting married, which made me feel like that could have took some, made me go in a little bit broken, made me go in a little bit confused, or like, why are we rushing to do this? And I even asked, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, are you sure? He asked me, you think we should do this? Like, let's do it. They make it's almost like it was a force. Like people, and I would never. I'll tell you
Uh-huh.
that I would never allow nobody to ever force me to do something I am not comfortable in doing, because
Uh-huh.
then it's not of my own. I'm doing it to please people. But now you can see those people are nowhere around.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And doing it for sake of keeping face.
Right.
And it's so
Image.
many people that do that for the sake of keeping face. They stay silent, they stay in marriages, for decades just to keep face. I
Right.
want to keep these, I want to keep this house. I don't want to have to move. I don't want to have to, relocate. I don't want to have to do all of these things. So people stay for the wrong reason. So that's a valid point that you made, Chante, that when it's not healthy and it's not conducive and it's not in your best interest, don't just stay just because I don't want to look a certain way to the church, or I don't want to
Right.
look a certain way to the people around me, because nobody's getting slapped and boxed around and pushed and kicked but you know what I mean?
Right.
And I
Absolutely.
can speak to that because I was in an abusive relationship for 10 years and he was my boyfriend. He was not my husband. He was my boyfriend. But I was so broken, I stayed, because I just felt like, nobody else is going to love me. I'm a big girl, and, just all kind of stuff that the enemy would tell me. And because I was so broken, I believed all of it. He was like, nobody else is going to want you. And he would never hit me in my body. He would always hit me in my face, always.
Mm.
But, honey, we can stay on that for the rest of the night, but we going to move on.
Right. Absolutely.
So once that 2 weeks in, and you're on baby number 3, what is going through your mind at this point? What is Chante? What's happening inside of Chante? What was your feelings? Did you have girlfriends? Did you talk to your mom? What were your feelings and emotions at that time?
So I will tell you, baby number 3 was where I lost myself.
Mm-hmm.
Baby number 3 was where I felt like, you know what, this cannot be life. This cannot be God ordained. Like, you got to tell me that I got to go through all of this. Baby
Mm-hmm.
number 3 made me want a divorce quickly. Baby number 3 almost lost my life. Um, baby number 3 was, I literally had my boys are 14 months apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you how quickly things escalated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with baby number 3, I had end up, carrying him And this is when I knew, like, God, you got to help me, because then I was carrying a tumor at the same time. So as
Mm-hmm.
he grew, the tumor grew. So it was like already a lot on the pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
but dealing with on the outside stress, it caused more health wise.
Mm-hmm.
So stress is very, very. People say all the time stress can kill you. That is true. Like I
It's
went
a
through health.
silent killer. It
Right,
will.
definitely. I went through stuff that I didn't even know I could go through. I even had issues with going through with this baby number three. Um, so much happened with baby number three. I didn't think that I would be sitting where I am now speaking with you back then carrying that child. Even after he came out, I didn't think that I would be sitting here, because that's when I thought I was going to lose my life
Wow.
several times carrying that child.
Mm.
Baby number three, I will tell you that it just was hard for me. Not
Mm-hmm.
not just with the pregnancy, because I trust God with everything.
Mm-hmm.
God, I know this tumor is here, but I know you'll dry this up before I end up pushing this baby out.
Correct.
But I also had to deal with, being married, but now not only am I dealing with physical abuse, but mentally abuse and verbal abuse, and pregnant and getting thrown into a tree, and pregnant and getting gun held up to my head, and pregnant and still not feeling like I'm myself, like feeling
Correct.
like I'm not good enough, or feeling like I'm not beautiful enough to, handle the situation. Then baby
Mm-hmm.
number three came in, more cheating and more cheating. Baby number three, I felt like my world was turning upside down. I felt
Uh-huh.
like, God, where are you? Like there's no way that you really put me, not even necessarily God put me in a situation. Because a lot of times we put our own self in situations because we
Uh-huh.
didn't consider God from the first beginning. So
Correct.
I will say that with me, with baby number three, it was just like, God, I need you like now, because I feel lost. I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't being able to reach friends. I had to
Mm-hmm.
cut off friends, or either they dropped off because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't see me or they didn't hear from me. Um, and family members, I had to
Isolate.
hide from. So
Yeah.
it was just like I lost contact with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
People I was friends with in high school, I couldn't contact them. It was just I was lost. I felt like I was by myself. I
Mm-hmm.
held my two kids close because I felt like that's
That's
all
all
I
you
had.
have. Mm-hmm.
Because you
Because
can't
the
tell what's going
isolation.
on.
Yeah,
Right,
because that's what abusers do. They isolate you and keep you from other people. Or if
right,
people come around, it's always the questions, or what did they ask you, and what you getting just drill after they leave. And then if you don't come up with the right answer, then you gonna get hit, or you gonna
right.
get punched, or you gonna get kicked. Whoo, yes, but
That's true.
thank God that you're here, you're talking to me, you made it through. Did you have to do any type of like therapy or counseling during that time? Or God, you that's when your relationship with God went to another level. How did you make it through that time?
So I didn't do professional counseling. I
Uh-huh.
did church counseling, and
Uh-huh.
I went through leadership at church.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes you can go through leadership at church. I think, to me, and this is my personal opinion, that it's better to go through professional counseling when you're dealing with something like that. Because if
Uh-huh.
you have never went through domestic violence, you wouldn't know what to tell me. You wouldn't know how I feel. You wouldn't understand my situation. You wouldn't understand the reason why I'm telling you what I'm telling you.
Uh-huh.
I felt like with going through that type of counseling, it was
Uh-huh.
also family.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't feel like it was more of, let me hear what you got to say, but I didn't have a solution. So you want to
Uh-huh.
hear my problem, and I never came out. I walked away with no
The
solution.
solution. Correct.
So I didn't feel like I accomplished anything. I still
Correct.
felt lost, and I felt even worse because I felt disconnected from God, even while singing praise and worship. The praise and worship was supposed to be my zone of being able to reach God, but I was so caught up in what was going on behind closed doors.
Uh-huh.
And I felt, and even at home, I will say that singing allow me to, even if like just washing dishes, singing, it
Uh-huh.
took me to the place of God. Like, I need you now. Even when I couldn't
Uh-huh.
even mumble words, I would
Okay.
sing songs. But it just like when I'm trying to get to God, and I'm like, God, I'm going through all this, but I still got to get up here and do praise and worship. I still
Uh-huh.
got to get up here and minister to people when I need somebody to minister to me.
Uh-huh.
So I just felt disconnected all around, from family, friends, church. I felt disconnected. I didn't feel like nobody even saw me in the church.
Uh-huh.
I felt like I was just so gone away.
So in other words, you was working, but you was wounded. You was
That's
serving,
good.
but you was wounded. You was going through the motions, but you was still serving from a place of brokenness. And I believe that happens every Sunday. I believe it happens more frequently than we want to acknowledge. But
Right.
at the end of the day, God still sustain you. You was able to get through it. He was able to keep you, and you have to, and you said it, sometimes things that we are dealing with is above the pay grade of our pastor unless they are a licensed clinical psychologist or therapist.
Right.
And it's okay.
It's
It,
okay.
it is no shade, no nothing against our leaders, because God has given them the responsibility to pray for us, to cover us, for all of those things. But sometimes, just like you said, unless they have been in that type of situations, it's hard for them to minister to you in that capacity.
Right.
And I totally agree. I'm with you on that one. So as we move forward through your journey, and you continue to go through your marriage, as things continue to progress on, what was your daily routine? What was your action plan? Did you have an exit plan? Did you have something that you had on your mind of, Lord, I need you to help me get out of this situation? Was it at any point in time that you just felt like, for the sake of your mental and your well-being and your children, that you had to get out?
Yes. I for years I wanted to get
Hmm.
out because I knew it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy for my children because they had to see things that they were not supposed to be seeing, or things that were not supposed to be done.
Hmm.
They had to hear things that they should have never heard, and
Hmm.
it was just like it was just time to go. But I will tell you this: I didn't always everything every day was not bad.
Hmm.
Every day was not bad. I have people asking me where the live is. I'm not sure. Don't, um, every day wasn't bad, and I will tell you that um,
Were you able to share it on your page?
no, ma'am, I don't see it. I think I have people asking me where's the live. Did I miss it?
Yeah,
All right.
because I see where we got some viewers, but I'm quite sure it's probably more.
Mhm.
um
I don't see it under your page.
you say you don't see it under mine?
Under Sonya Wilson Bailey.
Yes, the one with the red shirt, me and my son.
Yeah, I don't see it under there.
Yeah, it has all three of them. It has all three of them checked.
Okay. I'm not sure. They're just looking for it. Um,
Okay.
okay. I don't know. It's okay. I can see. I do a replay.
Okay.
So, um, every day wasn't bad. I would say that
Okay.
every day was not bad at all. Um,
Uh-huh.
I would tell you that I never lacked for anything.
Okay.
I never lacked for anything. The kids never lacked for anything. But when things got bad, things got
Uh-huh.
bad. As years went on, things
Uh-huh.
progressed and got better. Things were
Okay.
way worse in the beginning than it was at the end. Um,
Okay.
so when years went on, I didn't feel like I felt like things were getting better. So
Uh-huh.
from getting abused 3, 4 times out of a month until the later years went on, it was only like once a year.
Uh-huh.
The time the last year ended, then
Okay.
it was almost like, well, things are getting better, things are progressing.
Uh-huh.
So it started making me feel like, okay, well, yeah, because things are progressing and things are getting better, then I feel like I can stay. But mentally, I always knew that if somebody hits you one time, they're gonna do it again.
Correct.
Um, so for me, it was just like I don't know what else I'm going to do. Like I wanted to stay because I saw progressive, like him progressing, but
Uh-huh.
I wanted to leave because I was like, even if you're not physically abusing me, how you verbally are talking to me, that's verbal abuse. You
Uh-huh.
calling me out of my name, but you're still bringing me flowers and candy.
Uh-huh.
That literally is manipulation, and all
Uh-huh.
you do is confusing the children. So that still was like, you know what, I gotta go. Like it still wasn't okay. You wasn't physically abusing me every day, but then when you call me out of my name, or you walk around with no ring on your finger, or you come in the house at night, 3, 4 o'clock
Uh-huh.
in the morning, that's still disrespectful.
And that's still abuse too.
That's still abuse. Yeah, you still mentally playing games. Like it was
Uh-huh.
still crazy to the point that my kids was noticing.
Uh-huh.
They was asking questions, and I was still covering because that's how the church made it seem at the time. Love covers, so they
Uh-huh.
manipulate that part into making it seem like what I was doing if I leave was wrong, and I didn't
Uh-huh.
like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't like
Yeah.
that because that's manipulation
Manipulating
anyway.
the scriptures. Okay. Wow.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So when we make vows and we say the death do us part, we don't really
Uh-huh.
mean, yeah, until you physically kill me with a gun, or you physically kill me with your hands. That's not
Uh-huh.
what the vow meant. So
Exactly.
there was a lot of manipulation, with that.
Exactly. And the thing about it is their insecurities is what's driving them. Their dysfunction is what's driving them. And then I get other people to co-sign on it to say, okay, yes, do this, do that. But at the end of the day, I can't control anybody but myself in the situation. So if
Right.
I decide that this is what's best for me and the children, then this is what we need to do. Because just like you say, a lot of times when you see other children or other things going on, it's a learned behavior. Now
Right.
I'm fighting kids on the playground and they trying to figure out why I'm fighting kids on the playground because
That's
I'm
true.
seeing this at home. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times it is a trickle effect that affects the not just you and him, but the whole household.
Right.
So as things continue to progress on, you deciding that you just this something has got to give. I got to do something different. I got to love myself enough. I got to say, I got to love myself enough and my kids enough to just say I got to do something different. When you got to that place, then um what were your thoughts with the praise and worship in the church and just your ministry at that point? And what were your thoughts about making a decision to say, hey, I've had enough and I got to do something different? When did you just say enough was enough and just move, not just said I'm going to do something different, but just did it?
So I would say it was in November of 2020 when I
Mm-hmm.
said enough is enough. I can't deal with this no more. I can't take it. I don't know what's about to happen, but I got to make a move. I packed up. Well, I say packed up because I got a lot of kids, but I
Uh-huh.
took all 5 of my kids. I threw them in the car and I left. When I left, I took them to a what I thought was a friend's house, and um, I literally went back when he was at work and grabbed clothes, and then I left. When I returned to let him know that I was leaving, then family members decided to show up to the house. It was not good, and I left again. Never came back. I left for 3 months,
Uh-huh.
and when I left, that was our separation period. People did not know we were separated because I don't believe in putting everybody in our business.
Uh-huh.
But I just needed to get my kids away from the toxic relationship and them seeing things. And they were getting older. So getting
Uh-huh.
older, they're starting to understand. They're starting to ask questions. And it was questions that I really didn't want to answer because I just felt like they were too young to understand. But I had to say
Uh-huh.
it in their terms. Um, he would still come get the kids. He was an excellent and amazing father. He still came and got them. We still shared, weekends. But after those 3 months, we talked about getting counseling, marriage counseling with a professional. I
Uh-huh.
got my own separate therapy, and then he tried to get his own separate. For some reason, I don't know if it's a men thing, but they charge him way more than what I was being charged. So he
Uh-huh.
never got the counseling. Then he had people in his ear. He had people in
Uh-huh.
his ear saying, he need to get counseling by this person and only this person. And I was like, well, why? Like, I questioned that because I'm like, this ain't their marriage. This is our marriage. So we
Uh-huh.
got to do what's best
Correct.
for us. And I think people get that mixed up. Like when you're in a
Uh-huh.
marriage, it's good to take advice, but you're still not in that marriage. You still don't know what happens behind closed doors. You still don't know that real person that I'm trying to tell you about that you're not believing because all
Uh-huh.
you know is oh, he wouldn't never do that or
Uh-huh.
he wouldn't never say that. But you did know because I
Uh-huh.
ran plenty of times for help to a lot of people, especially church people, and this nothing was still done because they were family. Um, I will say after I did my counseling, we
Uh-huh.
never did physical counseling together, and
Uh-huh.
he ended up not doing therapy, going through with it.
Uh-huh.
So I did end up we talked and
Uh-huh.
we said that we was going to come together and try to work things back out. So I did move
Okay.
back in with him in January of 2021.
Uh-huh.
When I moved back in January 2021, things were good for the first 2 weeks. That's it. Then I started seeing a
Okay.
change, and I was like, "What's this big, major, drastic change?"
Uh-huh.
Then after him practically begging me to come back for us to work things out, I had to be in the house. He said for us to work
Uh-huh.
things out. It almost was like, okay, let's do it. I want my marriage because I saw overall that it got better. He was an
Uh-huh.
excellent person. But like
Uh-huh.
I said, when he got mad, things were just way off.
Uh-huh.
Um, After I came back in January of 2021, um, I saw a big change again.
Uh-huh.
I would say that I changed myself drastically because at
Uh-huh.
this point I was lost. So when I came home, it was like, "You want to drink?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." So then we started drinking together.
Uh-huh.
But the drinking wasn't, "Oh, let's just take a drink." It was more like, "Okay, I'm getting up, and now I feel like I'm stuck."
Uh-huh.
So it was like now I feel like I'm getting into alcohol because I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to cover my feelings. Then it was
Okay.
like, well, do you want to do X, Y, and Z? Do you want to smoke this hookah? Do you want to do this? And then I started like, I'm just changing. Like overall, in
Uh-huh.
just that little bit of time, I started changing and not feeling like me. I didn't feel like I was myself again. I was like, I don't even drink. I don't
Uh-huh.
even smoke. What am I doing? So I had to question my own self and question my own faith. Like, am I slipping into a place where I don't need to be slipping at? And the answer was yes. I just didn't know how
Okay.
to get out of it because I was like, well, if this is
Uh-huh.
going to stay calm together, then maybe it will work. But it was a trick. Now that I
Wow.
realize, I feel like it was a trick to get me, there.
Uh-huh.
After that, it was like no ring on the finger. He's not walking around with a ring on the finger. And eventually I took mine off too. There was a
Okay.
mistress outside that I knew about. He told me about her. He told me everything about her. He showed me text messages about her. I started getting gifts delivered to my house from females that I actually knew. They were very bold. And the thing is, what could I say to them? Because he's allowing it. So
Okay.
then I put myself in a position of being like, okay, well, now Chante, you look dumb. You're allowing
So they were sending the gifts to your house for
to my
him or
house
for you?
for him,
Okay. All right.
for him. So now I felt like I was in a very. I already knew he was cheating.
Uh-huh.
If you're out there, just get the book. It'll go all into details. But I already
So,
knew he was cheating.
uh-huh.
He
So,
told me he was cheating. He slept with multiple females in my house, in my bed. Some of them I know, still, but it's okay because at the end of the day, I knew what I was walking into, and I
uh-huh.
also knew that I was just trying to save the marriage. But that let me know I couldn't save it. There's nothing that I could have done to save it because at this
No.
point it was too far gone.
Correct.
So I decided that, listen, maybe it's not the best idea for us to be together. Things ain't working. We
Correct.
drinking, it's not working. God is not even in the mix of this anymore. Like there
Uh-huh.
was no more prayer, there was no more trying. It was just
Uh-huh.
not there. Um, After that, he started walking around with no ring on, and eventually I was like, "Well, where's your ring? I just wanted to see if I, really want to be married. You don't have to see that with me. I don't have to be here. I can take the 5 kids. You can see them whenever you want to. Let's just cut it loose." He didn't
Uh-huh.
want to do that. He still wanted
Uh-huh.
his cake and have his cake and ice cream over there too. And that couldn't work with me. Then when I said something, I said, you know what? I'm gonna take my ring
Uh-huh.
off because we just gonna separate and we just gonna leave it at that.
Uh-huh.
It was an anger that spiked up, and that's when physical abuse came in again because he still wanted me to be there. He did not want to
Uh-huh.
let me go, but he still wanted everything else too. So we did end up not, you know, we ended up separating again. But
Uh-huh.
at this time, it was 2 days prior to him actually, no longer being here.
Okay. So let's go on over on that side. Now, 2 days later, he's no longer here. You are now a widow. What changes did you have to make immediately to function and take care of your children? Because now you're now a widow. You don't have this person that gets them every other weekend, their dad, you know, the grieving process, all of that. So in finding Chante and maneuvering through the grief and loss and taking care of your kids, what was the next thing that you had to do immediately to keep yourself sane so that you could function for your children?
Immediately, I just knew that I had to be strong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like this might be the hardest part to talk about than the other part. And honestly,
Okay.
it's because when you're in a position, especially when you don't see something coming,
Mm-hmm.
you don't expect to know what's next. So when
Mm-hmm.
I got a phone call saying my husband was no longer here, I immediately lost it
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't expect that. Because even though I was being physically abused, I still loved my husband. And
Mm.
I knew it wasn't him I was fighting with. I was fighting with demons that he
Correct.
couldn't even resolve. And
Correct.
I can't, even when he was like, there's nobody that can help me except for you. And I told him, no, I'm not bigger than God. So there's nothing else that I can do at this point.
Uh-huh.
And, people got mad at me for saying that, but I'm not God. It's only but so much I can do as a person. So when I got the initial call that he was gone,
Mm-hmm.
I was already almost to the house, on headed to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I lost it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually will tell you, I don't even know when I got myself together. I knew I
Mm-hmm.
had to get it together for my kids. I knew they couldn't see me like how they saw me. But even when I was smiling and getting them ready, I still wasn't mentally there.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was maybe months after I actually buried my husband that I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this. I don't got no
Mm-hmm.
choice.
Uh-huh.
Even though I walked around with a smile on my face, when they weren't around, I was breaking down crying because I
Mhm.
had to be strong in front of them. It took a
Mhm.
lot for me because it was like this ain't one child, this is 5 kids,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of it came from now mentally it started playing in my head. Well, you gonna miss all these football practices, all these football games, all these cheerleading games, all these dance games or the dance
Mhm.
competitions. You're not gonna be able to walk them down the aisle for their wedding. You're not going to their graduation. You're not gonna ever be
Mhm.
there for their prom. And I'm like, you really did this? Not for me, but to them.
Uh-huh.
You let them down. So it was like I had to still continue to be mom.
Uh-huh.
I don't I even stopped talking to God because I was like,
Uh-huh.
God, I know that I don't have to no longer go through domestic abuse,
Mhm.
but what about the good times? What did I set myself up for? Like
Uh-huh.
I spent all these years, and now you mean to tell me that I have nothing? I wasted my
Mhm.
time. Like you mean to tell me that he literally did this? Like it was so much. And
Uh-huh.
crazy because I actually when I speaking to people now, I
Uh-huh.
had someone tell me that we didn't think you was gonna make it. Like we realized that you was going to MUSC in a mental institution. We thought maybe you was gonna jump off the bridge. And I'm like, I still don't know mentally when I got myself together. I'm
Uh-huh.
still now um still getting myself together because there's still
Uh-huh.
things that I gotta finish, doing as a mother. But I
Correct.
from some I find my strength from God. And I
Uh-huh.
would say when I literally was driving down the road one day, and this was during the time I was, preparing for my husband's funeral and going in motions, doing everything I needed to do to prepare for this funeral.
Uh-huh.
I was at a red light, and my one of my nieces was in the car, and I just dropped my head and I lost it. And
Uh-huh.
she was like, "You can do this," and I was like, "I can't." And I'll never forget when I was at that red light on Rivers Avenue. The song "Hold Me Close" came on by Chante.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
that song literally ministered to my spirit. And I said, God, if you don't do nothing else, just
Uh-huh.
take your hand off of my life. Because
Mhm.
there's no way I'm going to be able to raise all 5 of these kids. There's no way I'm going to be able to function, go to work, and take care of these kids daily. Excuse me.
Mhm.
If
It's all right. It's all
if
right.
I if I don't have the strength to do it, so I
Mhm.
would never take away that God was the one who kept me safe. He was
Mhm.
the one who gave me peace, even when I would have sleepless nights and I would walk around just randomly. And there was nights I couldn't even sleep. There was nights that I did not sleep. I did not eat. It was nights
Mhm.
that I would just like. I had crying babies. I had babies who were screaming all night long. And for a
Mhm.
moment, I did live with my mom because I didn't know how I was going to do it. And
Mhm.
I looked at my mom and I said, "Listen, I can't do this." And she said, "Yes, you can." I said, "I
Mhm.
can't do this because I have this 3-year-old baby who won't
Mhm.
stop screaming. Y'all telling me to rest, but I got a 3-year-old baby who won't stop screaming, and I got a 2-year-old baby who's tossing and turning in the middle of the night, and then he's screaming or he's jumping up and crying." And I'm like, God, how am I going to do this? I'm like, I'm literally
Mhm.
about to go crazy. And
Mhm.
I found out later from a therapist that my 3-year-old, she was going backwards. She was
Mhm.
going back into a baby stage. And what I
Mhm.
found out was my therapist was telling me that she was having a mental breakdown.
Mhm.
Kids don't know how to express themselves, so
Uh-huh.
she went into a different direction by going backwards. And I was like,
Correct.
God, if you don't help me, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't even know how I'm gonna make it. And I told my mama took the baby out of my hand, and she said, "I got her. You get
Uh-huh.
her." And there was one night, and I called my mom. I said, "I'm so tired at work. I can't do this." And she said, "I'm calling the family up, and we're having family prayer." So we went and we prayed, and she prayed over every bed that the kids laid on. She prayed on their clothes, over their shoes, that when they walk, they won't have no issue. We
Uh-huh.
prayed the whole house down. And
Uh-huh.
for the very first time in a long time, I opened my mouth and prayed. And when I
Uh-huh.
opened my mouth and prayed, that's when I felt my peace. I
Uh-huh.
still didn't feel like I was all the way where I need to be, but I felt
Uh-huh.
strong enough to say, God, thank you for giving me an ounce of strength that I can
Uh-huh.
make it to the next day. And that was the last time. I called some prayer warriors on the phone, and
Uh-huh.
they wasn't there, but I said, I need y'all praying. I called the apostles, I called my leaders, and I said, I need y'all praying, because
Uh-huh.
at this point, if God don't do this, I don't know how I'm still staying. And at that
Mm-hmm.
time, that was the last night that my baby
Mm-hmm.
screamed, and I felt like I had this much strength just to make it
Uh-huh.
the next day. Oh, hold
So so you said some key things. Your mama. Let's talk about mama. Your mother and your leaders.
on. Right,
So even when life is happening, my God, you bringing it on home here now, girl. Um, it's important to have yourself surrounded with the right people that can
right,
pray you through, because just like you say, you felt the release when you open your mouth, but the people that were interceding for you when you couldn't intercede for yourself, your
right,
mama, your apostles, your leaders, that is so vital. I hope y'all heard that. That is so vital. The people that are around you when you going through the storms of life, because honey, you was going through some stuff, so you really needed somebody that could really pray you through. So I just thank God for your mom. I thank God for your leaders, your apostles, and God is so good. And just to hear you share your story, just looking at you, God has really sustained you. He's brought you through. And your book, oh my God, I had to read it and put it down. I had to read it and put it down. I had to read it and put it down. I'm still not finished, but just your story is so rich, so rich. And when I say rich, I'm not saying it in a negative way, I'm saying it in a positive way, because so many people suffer in silence. It's so
right,
many people that are suffering in silence as we speak, and they just don't want to know what to do. And just like you said, it was almost like a muzzle. But when you begin to go into prayer for yourself, you just felt a breakthrough, you felt a release from the prayers of your mother and your apostles. So if it was a young lady that was dealing with domestic violence, that was going through a situation, what would you say to her? A young lady, maybe she's even in high school, because now these some of this stuff starts in high school.
it
It's
does.
been young women that has been beaten by their boyfriends in school,
Right.
and they not find out about it till later. What would you say to those young ladies? And then I got one or two more questions, and then we gonna wrap it up. But
I would
what
definitely
would
let
you
them
say to
know
her?
that there is hope in
Uh-huh.
all of this. Know the red flags. It's almost like you almost gotta play their games, because you gotta learn the game. And that's
Mm-hmm.
sad to say, but you do.
Mm-hmm.
But know the red flags. Get a good support team, a support system. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
if it's just one person, because sometimes you got to be careful who you talk to, because people run their mouth and it causes you to get back into situations where you
Mm-hmm.
never was supposed to be anyways. That happened
Correct.
to me, like trying to get support, trying to help, and trying to get people to help me out. Hey, I need this help, I need this, and then end up getting beat because they heard, oh, you ran your mouth. So be careful who you talk to, but find that one person who's not going to say anything,
Mm-hmm.
and get buddy with them. And when
Mm-hmm.
I say that, you need to have code words. If you don't have nothing else, get code words. Find out
Mm-hmm.
how, if you need help and you need something, figure out how you're gonna get out there. If you're going to escape and you're gonna make an escape plan, make more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Make more than one, because if one fell, you can always fall back on the other one. If you have children and you're trying to escape, you need to get somebody who is in authority, as in like a therapist, to help you escape. It would be a lot easier to escape than just trying to do
Mm-hmm.
it yourself. Um,
Correct.
and it won't be as dangerous either.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing those tips. Where can we find your book, and how can we connect with you?
Okay, so my book, Dear Diary, I couldn't love him enough. It's on Amazon. All you have to do is type in Dear Diary, or you can type in my first and last name is Chante Dove, like the bird, and it will pop up on Amazon. It'll also be in the stores soon. It's not in there yet, but it will be in soon. Um, And I'm also on Facebook as Chante Dove as well. Um, and I also have a book page, which is Chante Dove's Books. So you can find my book either place. It is $19.99 with $20. It is $20 for the book on Amazon. It is also $15 for a Kindle. So we do have Kindles available for the ones who like to read online.
Okay. And before we close, did you have something, anything else that you want to share with the listeners? Anything else that you want to share that you haven't shared? um I didn't want to just I always allow the spirit of the Lord to lead us. I don't always, send you 10 questions and say, hey, this is what I'm going to ask you. I just let the Lord kind of guide the conversation. But just in case it wasn't something that I didn't ask that you would like to share, please feel free to do that at this time, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Well, there's really nothing. I get the biggest question that people always ask me, how am I doing now? I am doing well. Um, the biggest part about me is I learned to take my pain, everything I went through, and I turned it into purpose. My biggest thing right now is to help all women and men, because men go through domestic violence as well, to reach out to them, to let them know that, it is hope. You know your red flags, know the things that you go through, speak over yourself daily, because that's what it took for me to be standing here today. I had to, speak over myself, speak life back into myself. Even when nobody else is around, I had to learn to do that for myself so that I could be a better person. I want to be a better person because one day I do want to get married again. One day I do feel like marriage is a good thing, but now this time I feel like, with me going, if I ever decide I want to go, get married again, I feel like, I know what to look for because I've been through those things. But I also am like, God, this better be heaven sent because I can't. I
Heaven
don't care
sent,
if
Lord,
it's
heaven sent.
it might be a long time. I don't care if it's 10, 20 years from now. But I would love to get married again. That is another question I get all the time. When you get married again, I would love to. When it's the right timing. It's just that right now, all I'm doing is living my life. To be able to make sure I'm there for my kids. I am happy. I'm in great spirits, and I do have another book coming out soon. So, yes, I do want to say that.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for coming, Chante, and doing this interview with me. I am so grateful for you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
having me.
sharing your story. We all got a place where we're journeying from brokenness to wholeness, and we're all on a journey. We all are striving to be a better version of ourselves. And I just want to tell you, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming and sharing. We appreciate you, and we're praying for you and
Thank
your
you.
children. God
Thank you.
bless you, woman of God, and keep going and doing great exploit for the glory of God.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me.
You welcome, sweetheart. All righty, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for Candid Conversations on tonight. We just had an amazing and dynamic interview with Miss Chante Dove. She was absolutely amazing. She shared snippets of her story with us. She shared her book, how you can connect with her. Her book is on Amazon, and how you can connect with her on the social media platforms. I am so grateful for this opportunity to share another dynamic woman of God with you guys on tonight. We have some other things that's going to be coming up this month for Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'm just so grateful for all of the women that God have allowed me to meet, even though some of these ladies I have not met in person, but God has allowed us to connect and be able to come, allow them to come on my show, on my platform, Candid Conversations, and share with you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sonya Wilson Bailey. I am the founder and CEO of Whole Women in Progress, where I help women to journey into a greater place of wholeness by renewing their minds, rebuilding their bodies, and restoring their souls. Thank you for joining us tonight on Candid Conversations. We look forward to seeing you guys at another episode. Love you guys. Y'all have a great evening. Good night.